So I guess I will just kind of start out with tell me what happened the day that Sebastian went missing. I know that his mom said that he was having a good day. He had had a great weekend. So do you want to walk us through what that looks like again for everybody?
He did have a really good weekend, actually. When we come home from having supper that evening, he was playing. When he went to bed, when I told him to go to bed, he said, "I love you, Mama," and he said, "I love you, puppies." A little later in the evening, I myself went to bed, and when I went to wake him up for school, he wasn't here.
And you did tell me that Sebastian is not a runner.
He's not.
It's okay. Take your time.
Sebastian does not have a history of running. The young man doesn't go outside very much. Everybody in the neighborhood knows him. He is very to himself, so to speak. Between the hours of 12 and 6, he has basically vanished. Walked out of the house, the door was locked, and gone.
He didn't take a phone. None of his shoes are missing.
Now, you told me that night that, now, Chris, you were at work. You were out of town at work,
Yes,
so you were not even home.
Correct, ma'am.
And Mom, you fell asleep on the couch about 10 o'clock, but you said that Sebastian went to bed at 9 p.m., and then you got up off the couch and you went to bed, and you said that was around midnight. And nothing was unusual at that point. Everything seemed okay.
There's actually a piece of... So to make something very crystal clear, so that way there's transparency across the board. Me and the mom were on the phone at 9:43 or 9:46 in the evening. We stayed on the phone for quite some time. The call logs have been verified by all the police departments, TBI included. We stayed on the phone. It was very lengthy. Mom did slightly start falling asleep while she was on the couch. I had said, "Hey, you need to wake up, put the dogs up, go to bed." Now, mind you, that was right around midnight, just before midnight or right around midnight.
We were out and about that day. We were having a really good weekend. We got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom, I love you." Said good night to his puppies. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed. Sunday, we were out and about. We had a really good day. We were out doing our thing, running around. We had dinner that evening, and when we came home, we had a pretty good evening together as well. He was playing right up until bedtime, and then some I let him stay up a little late. And when I told him to go to bed, he's like, "I love you, Mom, I love you, puppies." And he went to bed. And I went to bed around midnight. Everything seemed fine. Yeah, Sunday morning, I'll just start at the morning. Sunday morning we got up and I made a fun breakfast for us, spaghetti pancakes. Google it, y'all. We FaceTime family while we were eating so he could brag, because that's something he likes to do. And we were laughing and joking on FaceTime and having a good time with that. After breakfast, we got a call to go pick up our niece and go take her to meet up. So we did that. We went and picked her up, and we met her mama at BJ's, and we were there with family members. We come home and put our groceries away, and then a little bit later we went to the bowling alley, a local bowling alley here, and we played games. And then this is just Bubba and I, and we went to dinner, just the two of us, and then come home. He took the trash out because that's his chore, and he come in and he was playing in his room until bedtime. And at bedtime, I told him, I said, "Hey, Bubba, it's time to go to bed." And he goes, "Okay, good night, Mama, I love you." And then he said goodnight to his puppies, and he went to bed.
Okay, and walk me through what happened. You said that you were on a phone call, you were on the couch, and then you went to bed at midnight. Walk me through exactly what transpired during that time before you went to bed at midnight for you.
So, well, my husband, he works out of town a lot, so we normally sit and talk every evening, and I normally fall asleep on him. And he'll tell me, "Wake up, you gotta go to bed." And and that was right around midnight. So I got up and I put the puppies up and I went to bed myself at midnight. And I went to sleep, obviously. Sunday, the day before he went missing, we got up, and fun fact, I made breakfast that morning. We had a good time. We were laughing, we were joking. He talked to family on the phone during breakfast to brag. We went and picked up our niece. I got a call and asked if I could go and pick her up, and I did. And so we went and did that. We went to BJ's. Had a good time there. He ate a colossal popcorn. Came home to put groceries away because we bought snacks because he's 15 and snacks. We went to the bowling alley, and then from there we went to dinner. Came home. He took out the trash because that's his chore. He takes the can to the end of the driveway. About 9 o'clock, told him to go to bed. And he's come out of his room where he was playing, and he said, "All right, good night, Mama. Good night, puppies. I love you." And went to bed. He was doing something in his room because about an hour later I heard some noise, and I was like, "I don't care what you're doing in there, but go to sleep." And about midnight I got up and I went to bed.
Katie, let me ask you, the night of Sunday night, when you said there was a noise, what type of noise do you think that was that you heard?
I'm not honestly sure. It sounded like he was messing with stuff in his room, which was not uncommon, which is why I said, "Hey, I don't know what you're doing in there, but you're supposed to go to sleep."
Okay. So you didn't check on him at that time, but did you check on him at midnight? Did you flip the light on and look to see if he was in the bed at midnight when you got up to go to bed?
No, and because I didn't have any reason to. When he was little, I used to check on him all the time, but he's older now and he's 15, and y'all can figure out why a mother may not want to necessarily pop into a teenage boy's room unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Goes missing. Miss Proudfoot, I understand that the day before, which would have been Sunday, if I've got the information correct, that you guys went out, you went to dinner, you went to somewhere, I believe you said BJ's, where he had a, quote, colossal popcorn. Then you came home that night, and around 9 p.m., you tell Sebastian to go to bed. He says, okay, and goes to his room. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That night, I understand from previous statements you've made that you went to bed around midnight. Is that correct?
It is.
And to you, Mr. Proudfoot, Chris Proudfoot, did you also go to bed at midnight, or before or after?
No, ma'am. We went to bed around the same time because we were on the phone together.
And
He was not home.
please excuse any of my questions. I'm simply trying to find out more about that night. Do you two sleep in the same bedroom?
He wasn't actually in the home at all that weekend.
You were not home.
No,
okay,
ma'am.
so where were you, Mr. Proudfoot?
I was in Memphis, Tennessee.
How far away is that?
3 hours and 37 minutes from doorstep to doorstep.
And what were you doing in Memphis?
Working.
That night, Miss Proudfoot, at midnight when you went to bed, what did you do until midnight?
I had been reading a chapter that I needed to, and I had been talking to my husband on the phone. I was falling asleep on him, so that's when he told me it was around midnight. He told me to go ahead and put the dogs up and go to bed, and that's what I did. I got up, put the dogs where they sleep, and then I myself went to bed.
Where do they sleep?
They have a big pen.
A pen, is it inside or outside?
Inside.
Gotcha. I want to go back to that night. You said you were up till midnight. You were reading something. What were you reading?
A chapter for school.
A chapter for school. Are you in school?
I was, yes ma'am. I've since dropped my classes for the time.
What are you studying?
Business administration.
Gotcha. Where do you go to school?
DeVry.
So that night you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proudfoot on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate, inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking on him as frequently throughout the night because normally he's good to go in his room once he goes to bed.
Earlier you had stated you heard a noise in his room before you went to bed. What time was that?
Around 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. What did it sound like?
Just a thud.
A thud. You stated that you said, look, I don't care what you're doing in there, go to bed. Is that right?
I was on the couch, which is near his room, and I said, Bubba, did you fall out of the bed? And he said, no, ma'am. And I said, well, whatever you're doing in there, knock it off and go to sleep.
So you heard his voice at 10 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea what the sound actually was?
I do not, no. Yes, ma'am.
Are you a heavy sleeper?
Off and on.
Do you take any medication at night that would make you sleep?
No, ma'am.
But you heard nothing?
I did not, no.
So we know he is alive and well at 10 p.m. At 6 a.m. he's gone. Other than you, Miss Proudfoot, who is the last person that saw or heard Sebastian alive the Sunday before he went missing?
Two of his aunts, a cousin, and the staff where we had dinner.
And that was at BJ's the night before or the bowling alley?
So BJ's, and then we went to the bowling alley, and then after the bowling alley, we went to dinner before coming home.
Miss Proudfoot, that evening, were you drinking?
No, ma'am.
Had you used any type of drug at all, even OTC, over the counter?
No, ma'am.
And you had no argument with Sebastian that night?
No, ma'am.
You stated you put the dogs away into a crate before you went to bed. Is the crate located near the exit, near a door?
No, ma'am.
Would the dogs have barked if there had been an intruder or if Sebastian had left?
The dogs don't typically bark at me and Sebastian because they're used to us. Even if we get up, we come around, they don't typically bark. Strangers, they do tend to bark, at least for a minute or two to get attention. But no, ma'am, they don't typically bark at Sebastian and myself or Christopher.
What kind of dogs are they?
Morkies.
Question, where is their crate located?
In the area near my sunroom.
Over by the kitchen.
Your son's, okay, hold on. Is
No,
it
son,
outside your
son.
son's room?
No, ma'am, not
Sunroom.
Sebastian's room. Son, yeah, yes, ma'am.
The sunroom. And that's not near the door?
No, ma'am.
Not near the front door.
It's near my back door, but not any of the other doors.
Yes, from what I've seen the layout of the home, it is near the back door, and they would have heard someone coming in and out that back door, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No barking. Do you have a chime or anything on your doors that would alert you to the door opening?
No, ma'am.